Hello everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So we're getting back to some bead embroidery. Yay! Very excited. Love this technique. It's so much fun. And for those of you who haven't done this yet, I've got a great way for you to do it where you don't even have to order anything online. You can actually get all the materials that we're going to use here at your local craft store. Your Joann's, Michael's, whatever craft store you have. And if you want, I'm going to show you a couple of ways. You can also order online if you want to do that. But I just wanted to show you a few that I've done in the past and what we're going to be working on. So here I'm going to put, this is the one we're going to be working on, but I'm going to put this aside for a minute and I'll show you these. So I already have a video tutorial online for the Tallulah cuff, and this is one that uses hooks and eyes to close it. So here's Tallulah. Okay, so for those of you who have done this, we had so much fun with this. I'm going to be referring back to this video because you know, this is really good for those of you who want to just make it like this without, like this one. This has a brass cuff. We're going to do the brass cuff, so I'll be referring back to this one for those of you who don't want to order the cuff. All right, so here's Tallulah. Now here are a couple that I did. I don't have videos for these, but these are made with a brass insert. And that brass insert, let me just grab it. Sorry about that, I thought I had it out. Okay, is this. So this is a brass cuff insert. A few dollars online. I don't know if you can get these at the craft store, and this goes inside like so, and then we're going to wrap our bead work around it. This is a much larger one. They come in all lots of sizes. This is a 1-inch cuff. So just wanted to show you that. So we're going to be doing the brass insert because we've done Tallulah already. So if you need this technique, like I said, I will be posting a link for you to go back to this technique if you want to do it this way. All right, so just, you know, these are of course made with, this one's made with a big old center stone, and we've done some bezels as well as this one. I'm going to put these aside. This one I just bought a whole bunch of shell beads from, I think it was from Michael's or Joann Fabrics. They came on strands, very reasonable, and I just beaded around the beads here. And these are all beads, so you can actually sew them to the bead backing. So this is very easy to make. So this one, you know, it was, of course, it's supposed to look like the, you know, the sea, the beach, and the shells on the edge of the beach. All right, so I'm going to put this one aside, and then this is the one we're going to work on today. So this is a piece that I've already beaded, so it's all done and ready to be wrapped around the cuff, but I wanted to wait to do, of course, wrap around the cuff with you. So I'm going to clear the decks. I'm going to get a materials list going. There are a lot of materials, but I think a lot of the materials you can get locally, or you might already have. I mean, the beads, we're not even doing a stone here. We're doing all 11-0 seed beads and 15-0 seed beads and a few accent crystals. So you have the beads to do this, so don't worry about having to order stones. All right, so I'm going to clear the decks and I'm getting a materials list going so we can get started on this. Okay, we're back. So we're going to get a materials list going, and I'm going to do it in a couple of clips because we have a lot of materials and I don't want to pile them all on. So if you are following along with this bracelet and this design, I'm going to show you how to do this so you don't have to worry about drawing or anything. It's really simple. It's so easy. I'm just using a 2-color palette here. You can use any colors you like, but I'm going to give you my colors. So I have two 11-0s, and one's in, it's Miyuki Duracoat Galvanized Silver, Miyuki Metallic Gunmetal. Then I have two 15-0s. I have a similar bead to the silver. You can even use the same color. I just didn't have the same color, so I just used what I had. These are going to be filler beads in little spaces where you can't fit an 11-0. This is silver plated, and this is hematite. So very similar in color or the same color, it doesn't matter. I have a 3x2 millimeter rondelle, and this is metallic silver. This gives it that little pop of sparkle, and it really is very sparkly. Even these silver beads are super sparkly. So that's all you're going to need bead-wise, unless you want to change it and make it multicolor. You can do it. I started out making it multicolor, and then I just changed it. You'll need some 8-pound Fireline. I'm using black satin. You can use 6-pound, and I'm using a size 11 beading needle. So this, as far as beads, this is all you need for your beads. So pretty much a stash buster here You don't even have to use rondelles. You can use little pearls or whatever, you know, whatever you like. All right, so I'm going to clear these off, and then I'm going to get out all the other materials, and we'll get through those, and then we can get started. All right, see you in a minute. Let's continue. So you'll need some beading foundation, and this is Nicole's bead backing or Lacy stiff stuff. So either one, they're both very good. They come in colors, and the advantage of color is if you're doing something with dark beads, you're not going to see any white through it. I use the white all the time, and it's, you know, it's fine. But you can go order the color. If you don't want to order, go to your local fabric store. Go to Joann's, if you have a Joann's near you, and buy the Pellon fabric backing. And this you can get in a huge, I don't know, it's like a 3-foot square piece. And it's very cheap. This is a little more expensive, but you can use either one. So if you don't want to order it, get this one. The only thing I would suggest you order, if you could order one thing, would be the Ultra Suede. So this is Beadsmith's Ultra Suede, and it's a nice thick piece of Ultra Suede. It's an 8.5 by 8.5 piece. This is plenty to do, you know, several projects. I love their Ultra Suede. You can try your fabric store if you can get a thick enough piece. I've gotten some at the fabric store and it's too thin. So if you can get it thicker, then by all means get a remnant, because it'll be much cheaper. All right, so then you'll need some glue. So I used white glue, and this is Gem-Tac white glue. You can use any white glue. If you're an E6000 person, use your E6000. That works. You'll need a cuff blank, and this is a 1-inch brass cuff blank. If you're doing this one, you're going to have to order this blank, because I don't think they sell them at the craft store. You could look though, it's possible. So you'll need this. You can get this on any bead website. If you don't want to order anything and you just want to do the soft cuff like Tallulah, you'll need a couple of hooks and eyes, and these are pretty hefty ones. You can get those at the fabric store, very reasonable. You need something to hold your glued piece onto the cuff, and I have some clothespins, so I'm just going to do that. Or really just rubber bands work just as well. You'll need some pencils or a pencil. You'll need a ruler and a tape measure. Scissor, of course. I have a Sharpie here to color the edges of the white, because I am using dark beads in the background, so I'm going to color my edges with a Sharpie. So I have a whole set of these Sharpies in different colors. All right, so I think we've got it. I'm going to put all the materials in the description box below the video, so click on the down arrow or the show more, and the box will open up, and all the materials, anything I might have forgotten. I don't think I forgot anything, but if I did, it will be down there. Always check that before you do anything. I'll even put websites where I purchased all of my materials. All right, so we're going to start. Grab your ruler, grab your pencil, grab your stiff stuff, and then meet me back here, and we'll get started. All right, see you in a few. We're back. So now we're going to cut out the backing and draw on the area where we're going to be beading. So we're going to do this one in a second, because this is actually what this video is about, but I just want those of you who don't want to order the hard cuff and want to do a soft bracelet, I'm going to refer you back to Tallulah. Look at the links. I left links. But I'll give you a quick measurement, because we won't be doing the stones, so you just want the outside measurement. So what you want to do is you want to rough cut a piece of your backing about 2 inches longer than your bracelet. So with the soft bracelet, you're going to do the length of your bead backing is going to be 2 inches longer than the actual length of your bracelet. It's going to be different for this, so don't use it for this. So this, if my bracelet is 7 inches, I want it to be 7 inches. I'm going to cut this 9 inches, and then you want about 3 inches this way in width, just so you have some space to hold it while you're beading. Okay, and so I would cut a piece, if I wanted a 7-inch bracelet, 9 inches long, 3 inches wide, and then you want your bracelet to be 1 inch, so come in 1 inch from one end, make a mark, come 1 inch from the other end, make a mark, draw those lines, and then come in 1 inch from here and 1 inch from here to get your 1 inch, and that way you'll have the space exactly where you're going to be beading right here. Okay, so that is for the soft one. Like I said, go back to the Tallulah video for more in-depth on that. So for this one, it's going to be different. So what I did with this one is I just took my tape measure and I measured the cuff. I mean, it tells you the size when you buy it, but I would measure it anyway. So this is about, it says 6 1/8. I'm going to go about 6 1/4. Okay. I mean, we can adjust the beads. This one I had to adjust. I had to add some beads, but you will get to there. It's not a big deal. So this is, let's say, about 6 1/4. So I'm just going to take, so I'm going to make it 2 inches bigger than the 6 1/4, than the actual size of this. So that would be 8 1/4. So I did this a little, I did it about 8, so that's fine. So cut your piece 8 inches, cut it 8 by 3 inches, and what you're going to do here is, again, you're just going to come in 1 inch from the bottom, top, inch from the top, and that gives you your inch width on your cuff. So you're just coming in 1 inch and 1 inch, and then and then you could just connect those lines. Just like that. And don't worry about it if it's not perfect. This is very forgiving. We'll work on it as we go. So there's my inch coming in either end, top and bottom, and then I want to get the width going. So if I'm 8, let's say I'm 8 inches or 8 1/4, and want my bracelet to be 6 1/4, just come in 1 inch from either end, 1 inch from either end, draw your line, draw your line. Now you have the space where all your beads are going to go. Now this, sometimes when you know, and I think actually most of the time when you're doing bead embroidery, it can shrink up a little bit, so we might have to, you know, adjust the ends. That's why we're not going to bead the ends first. We're going to do all the interior, and then we're going to go from here out to do the end pieces. All right, so this is how you're going to get your length. It works out perfectly this way. It'll fit nicely. So get that part done, get all your lines in, and then meet me back here and we'll get the design set up. All right. Okay, we're back and we're going to start with our design now. So everything is mapped out. So I have my beading area right here. So now I just need to get a design down. So there are many ways you can do this. You can actually freehand draw something if you like. These are stylized leaves that I drew in, but you can do anything you like. You can even go to your local craft store and get a stamp of a leaf, a simple one. You want it simple, and you can just stamp it on if you're not artistically inclined, and you don't have to be artistic to do this. I'm going to show you why. So what I did here is I went out to my garden and I clipped my azalea bush, and don't tell my husband because I'm sure he wouldn't be happy if I clipped, that I'm clipping his bushes. All right, so, and they didn't need to be pruned. So anyway, so the best thing is to go to nature. Even though the colors aren't from nature, the leaves are from nature. So the design is from nature, and that's why it looks so pretty. So then I'm just going to pull some leaves off here. And Mother Nature shows you size, right? So if you're like, what size leaves do I use? Just follow her leaves here. So she goes from bigger to smaller, right? So I'm just going to pick some bigger ones and some smaller ones. And I think I have 2, 4, 6. I have 10. You don't have to do 10. You can do 6. You can do 8. You can do anything you like. You can even take some flowers. So here I'm just going to pull a bunch off of different sizes. Just like that. All right, so I'll put this aside. And then I'm just going to place them. So here. So if I want to follow the design, you should actually do what you love. I'll pull a little bigger one off here. Okay, so I'm going to kind of place them how I did here. I mean, the leaves aren't the exact same size as the others, so it might be a little bit different, and I might like it different anyway. So here, it doesn't matter if they go off the page. We're going to be sort of adjusting these leaves a bit anyway. So here, I'll put this one here. I'll put this one here. Let's see. That. Then I've got kind of a skinny-ish one going here. And then a smaller one there. And then let's see, what do I have here? I have these two. Let's see, there's the big one. Oh, then I need another one. Let's say here, and you can play with these and make it just how you like it. Let's see, I'll pull another one off, put one here, and then I have two small ones at the end. So here, I'm going to get a little tiny one there, and a little one here. See how Mother Nature gives us sizing? She's so good that way. She just knows how to, she just automatically knows what to do. So here, so now I have my leaves on. Oh, and you can adjust them any way you want. I mean, they'll pop off and stuff. They're going to change, believe me, as we go. It's the design is going to change, but you just want to get sort of a basic idea of where you want everybody. So here, so if you want to use this as a guide, you can just, you know, you can just take a screenshot of it. And like I said, it's going to change as we do, because we're using beads, so it's going to, you know, it's not as forgiving. So then I just drew around the leaves. So I'm just going to hold one, and I'm just going to just trace around like that. And I'll hold this one. And don't worry if it goes off the bracelet. The edges, it's not a big deal. We're going to adjust everything. So here I have, so I have these two down. So see how that, what happens when I trace it? All right, so I have 1, 2. Then I'm going to do this one. And don't, you know, don't worry about it. Like, don't say I'm not artistic, I can't do this. You can do this. It's more, anything else, it's more fear of trying when it comes to stuff like this. You just have to go for it. You know, just go for it. We're all artistic. We're all creative. We're beaders. Of course we're creative. There. I'm just going to go around this one like that. And it's going off the edge. Don't worry about it. We're gonna play with everything and get it all perfect. Well, bead embroidery is not perfect. It's really more creative than it is anything. I'm just going to do this one. Okay, let's see, where did I need one here. I kind of lost that one, so let's put this one in. See how it's changed a little bit as I'm going along, but it's not a big deal. Alright, so let me put this one in. Just an outline. You can change it as we go along, like that. Put this one in. And you could, you know, change it if you like. You don't have to keep it this way. Do it how it looks pretty to you. All right, so there are my outlines. All right, so I'm just going to stop here. Get your outlines done, and then meet me back here, and we'll sort of refine it a bit and get the leaves looking more like this. All right, see you in a few. Okay, we're back, and I have my basic outline done. Now I want to separate the leaves because it's just going to be easier to bead them if we separate them. So the way I'm going to do that is every place that I've sort of shared a line here, I'm just going to separate, and I'm going to define the leaves a little more. So here I'm just going to, so where these two leaves share an edge, I'm just going to go around like this and separate it. See that? And so here where they share right here, just going to go around and separate it like that. This one. And what I'm doing is I'm just going in a bit. I'm following the same line, but I'm just going in just to separate each leaf. It's just easier to bead this way. So just keep doing that all the way around to all your leaves. So see where there's sharing, I'm just going to come in a bit, separate them. So I'm pretty much separated now. Now it's just going to be easy to bead because we're going to bead around this line. We're going to outline each leaf with our first color. Now, after you've done that, I want you to do another line inside this line. And the lines that we put inside these leaves are just going to be guidelines. We're not really going to bead on them. The only line we're going to actually bead on is the outline. These are just going to be guidelines. So I'm just going to go around my leaf again inside. So I'm just following the same line. I'm just coming in a little bit. This is going to give me an idea where I'm going to put the rest of my beads. We won't be sewing exactly on these lines. We're just putting them there as a guideline. And it's going to, it'll change when we put the beads on. So do that all the way around on each leaf. So separate each leaf and then put a couple of, kind of come in and put some lines on the inside just to give yourself a little guide. And then meet me back here and we'll start beading. All right, see you in a few. Okay, let's start beading. So we're going to do backstitch for this whole bracelet. So thread your needle with about 3 feet of thread. Tie a knot and leave a few inches. We're just going to take our needle and we're going to choose a leaf to start with. We're going to outline each leaf separately. So I'm just going to come through the back, kind of sort of figure out what leaf I want to work on. I'm just going to come up through one edge of the leaf, just like that. Doesn't really matter where you come up at this point. I'm just starting at the tip. So there, my knot's going to hold my thread on. I'm going to pick up 2 of my outline color. I'm going to drop them down. Just give them a little nudge back. I'm going to try to keep it on the line or on the outside of the line. And I'm just going to put my needle right down through the backing from front to back in front of that second bead. See that? I'm going to pull through. Now I'm going to come up through the back. You kind of figure out where you how to get through here. Just behind that first bead. And then I'm going to slide my needle through the 2 beads I just put on. You hold it with your thumb. Now I have your first 2 beads on. Pick up 2. Drop them down. Nudge them up against the previous beads and just press your needle right through the backing in front of that last bead. Now you're going to come back 3. So you're going to come up through the bottom between beads 1 and 2. So you're coming back 3 beads. Like that. And then forward 3. Here you go. So pick up 2. Drop them down. Nudge them up against your previous beads. Insert your needle front to back, right in front of that last bead. Come back up from back to front. 3 beads back, just like that. And then forward 3. That's what you're going to do all the way down to the end, to this corner, from this corner to this corner, and then come on back and I'll show you how to do a turn. So you have a nice tight turn to do the other side. Alright, see you in a few. Alright, so I'm coming down to the end. I have 2 more beads to put on. So I'm dropping those down. Come back my 3, then forward 3, Now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go back down, just with nothing on my, on my needle, like that. And then I'm going to come up right next to that last bead, right here. And then I'm going to start adding my other side of my leaf. And all this does, see when I put it kind of gives you a little bit of a point there. So here I'm just going to put my first 2 beads on, come back the 2. So it's like starting another line. So you're starting with 2 and going back 2. And it just gives you, see how it gives you a little bit of a point, like a leaf. And then just going to continue on with backstitch. So just until you get to the end right here. And then I'm going to show you how to I got stuck on and that happens. Sometimes you get stuck on the fuzz on your backing. So you just have to make sure that you kind of, let's pull it up a little bit. See that? See, I'm stuck right there on my backing. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to put these 2 on. And that happens occasionally. Come back 3. And forward 3. Just like that. And now I have that sort of an edge there. So I'm just going to come all the way around to this end, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to attach it and end it off on the other end. Alright, so see you in a few. Alright, so I'm coming down to the end, so I'm going to put my last 2 beads on. Then I'm going to put my needle through, come through the back, and you see how I am right where my other thread came out, through where I started. I'm at the tail thread. Sorry about that. I'm just going to tie a knot. If I can see it, there we go. Like that. You can even tie 2 knots. And I'm going to take my working thread, and I'm just going to come up through my beadwork, and then I'm going to come down again. And now I think I'm pretty secure as far as this thread. You can go up through again, up and down again until you feel you're really secure. But that's pretty secure at this point. And then what I'll do here is I'll just clip the thread. You can leave it a little bit on the long side. We can always clip it closer later. We'll do them later. And then I'm just going to thread my needle again, and I'm going to outline each of my leaves. So I'm going to do this one next and then just work my way out. I'm sorry about that. Somebody's working outside at the moment. So get that done, and then come on back and we'll start the next row on the inside. All right, see you in a few. Okay, so let's pretend that I have all my leaves outlined. And now I'm going to start my next line. So I've used the silver, now I'm going to use the gunmetal. So just thread your needle again, 2.5, 3 feet, probably a little bit less than this one because you're going in a bit. And then you want to come back to front, and you want this one right next to the beads here. So we're not going to follow that line we put in. That's just a guide. You want these beads to butt up against each other. That way you're not going to see any of the backing. Alright, so you see how I'm coming out very close there? Let's pick up 2. Doing the stitch back stitch again. So when you first start, you're picking up 2, butt those up against the edge. Make sure you're nice and close. You don't want to buckle, but you want to be nice and close to the silver beads. Bring those down. Come back like that, and then forward your 2. Now you're going to pick up 2, drop them down, push them back towards the others. Make sure you're next to the silver. Insert your needle in the front of them. Now you're going to come back 3, and then forward 3. Like that. Do you see how close they are? And don't worry if you have a space here, or if it doesn't, you know, if you have a space here. This is what the 15-0s are for. So we're going to fill in anything, any place we have a space, we're just going to fill in with 15-0s. So now you're just going to continue this all the way around. You're going to do the turn, come back here, end it off just like you did with the silver one, and do it through do it on every leaf. Okay, and then do it again, then do a silver line again. So you're going to have a silver, a gunmetal, and then a silver. Right, so do that on as many leaves as you can. You should be able to fit those 3 lines in. And then meet me back here and we'll put some crystals in the larger ones. All right, see you in a few. Okay, we're back, and I've gotten my 3 rounds here, so a silver, a gunmetal, and a silver. And now I'm going to embellish with the crystals. And don't worry about the space that's in there. You're going to fill around, you know, fill in all those spaces. See, so this one, here I have the crystals here, and then I've just filled in. And you can do this any way you like. So I'm just going to come through the backing in the corner back here. About like so. So again, I've just, you know, knotted my thread and I've come through the backing, and I'm just going to look and see what I did here. Okay, so then then you have to decide which colors you want to use in the background. So I did silver, but you could certainly use the gunmetal, whatever you like. So I did 2 silver, and I'm just going to sort of bring those down like in a straight line, because I'm gonna put my crystals after this, so I want it to come straight out like this. You can actually even put another line in there if you want. So I'm just going to back these up a little bit, as much as I can. And we can always fit a 15 on there if we need to. Okay, and I'm just going to put my needle down through, just doing back stitch. I'm not changing my stitch. I'm going to come back. This whole thing is 2-stitch back stitch. Just like that. Then I'm going to take one of my crystals and an 11-0, and I'm going to put that in like that. Just going to go straight across the center, and then I'm going to fill in the sides after. Like that. I'm going to go back 3. Just like I've been doing, and then forward, like that. I just wanted this to be as easy as possible for those of you who just want an easy project and something that's, you know, that you don't have to do too many stitches for, or for those of you who are beginners. I had a lot of fun making this, just using back stitch. So so I put on another crystal and an 11-0. Just gonna get those on. Gonna come back the 3. And then forward. But you can do anything you want, of course. You can do any stitch you like. You can add all kinds of stitches and all kinds of crystals. I'm going to pick up another crystal, an 11-0, and drop them down. Put those on. Come on back. Come forward. Now I'm just going to put 2 11-0s on. But if you have room for more, just put more on. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to actually put on, let's switch that. Let's put another crystal on it because there's a room here. So here, so let me go back. So this is like, you know, I'll leave this in because this, you know, if you want to, if you put it on and you see it's, you know, you can fit something, you can fit another crystal in, or if you don't like the way it looks, just take it off before you've sewn it on, and there we go. Put another one on. So here I just did one more crystal, that looks better. And an 11-0. Come on back. And through. Now I have my little grouping of beads on, and I think I could fit one more 11-0. Now you don't have to have 2 on this side and 2 on this side. If you can fit it, put one more in. So this is where I'm just going to put 1 bead on. I'm just going to go through instead of 2. See? So that fit. Just going to go back, still going to go back, ouch, the 3. Don't poke yourself. And then forward. But don't worry about it. Not everything, it doesn't have to be even. Everything doesn't have to be perfect on either end. Bead embroidery is not about even. It's about creativity. I'm going to come back down like that. Okay? So get to this point, just get this line done, and then come on back and we'll fill in the rest. All right, see you in a few. Okay, so I've you know, come through the backing. I've got the line done. I'm just going to come back up, and I'm going to show you where on this. I'm going to come up through here. So I'm going to just make sure I'm frame, coming up right here. So I want to put a bead on. I'm going to put my 2 beads. I'm going to start back here, right? So here. So I'm going to pick up. So now I have my 15-0s. I'm just using 15-0s, 11-0s. I'm not sure exactly, you know, we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to pick up, what I want to do, before I pick anything up, is see how I made a line of silver, and then in between it's the little 15-0s and gunmetal. You don't have to do it that way. You can if you want. I'll do it that way just to show you how I did it. So a 15-0 and an 11-0. I'm going to drop them down, and when I push them back, you should be able to push that 15-0 back, and that 11-0 should kind of find its way. Let me just give that a push. Okay, there we go. Like that. So, okay then. I'm sorry, I don't have a camera that goes this way so you can see the side view. So I'm just, all I'm doing is putting that 15-0 there, and the 11-0 is in front of it so that it kind of, it's going to make a little line there. It's not going to be perfect, but it's okay. So here. I'm going to go back, and you can fill this in, as I said, any way you like. And then forward. And I'm just going to give him a little shove back a bit, okay? Then I'm going to take, let's see, I'm looking at my, I think I'm going to take 2 15-0s. You might be able to use 11-0s here, I'm not exactly sure, so let's see. I know 2 15-0s work, so I'm going to put 2 15-0s as my next backstitch bead group. So here, I have 2 15-0s. I'm going to come back 3, and forward, 3, like that. I'm going to pick up an 11/0 and a 15/0. So I'm just, it's coming out so that 11/0 is kind of sitting next to the other 11/0s. See? Put those on. Come back. And if an 11/0 fits instead of, I have to move it this way for a second. If an 11/0 fits instead of the 15/0s, put an 11/0 there. Like that. And so on. And then I'm going to do two 15/0s again, or the 11/0s if they fit. So here, so put two 15/0s on. And here, that's where my needle's going down. Gonna come back. You know, and if you have, you know, 3 beads in one spot and, you know, colors and 2 in the other, it doesn't matter. I'm just filling in the space till I get to that next 11/0. So here I'm going to come through these 3. So whether it's 3 beads or 2, it doesn't matter. Push those back. Then I'm going to take an 11/0, the silver, and the 15/0 in the gunmetal. I'm going to drop those down. My needle through. Now it's hard to see this part, but as you're doing it, you'll see it, and it will, you know, you'll see exactly where to place all your beads so that they're filling up the space. That's really all we want to do, is just fill up the space here. So here I have one line on, and what I'll probably do here is I'll probably add, let's see, can I add 2 15/0s? Maybe 2 15/0, two more 15/0s at the end. You know, and I'm kind of jamming them in there. I don't want them to buckle, but see how you could sort of, you can get it to fit in there, and it makes it nice and straight. And I'll do that at this end too. I'll come back and add 15/0s. That's why I have you have 15/0s ready as well as the 11/0s, because the 15/0s are great little space fillers. All right, and then I'm just going to come down. Sorry about my phone. I don't know if you can hear that, just like that. So get that done on both sides, and you can do that on each one. And then meet me back here and we'll continue. All right, see you in a few. Okay, we're back for a second, so I just wanted to show you once the leaf is filled in what it looks like. So you see how tight they are? I have lots of little 15/0s in there filling in spaces and such, and it looks really pretty. So if you have any little spaces, don't worry about it. Just pop a 15/0 in there. And then what I've done here, I just want to show you, just in case you don't come around to where you know you started, and how to end it off. And this is what I do. I don't know if, I think it's okay, but this is just what I do. So here my thread is coming out and I don't have anything to tie it to, so I'm just going to come under one of the loops in the back. I'm just going to tie a little knot like that. Give it a little pull, but don't rack it out. Then I'm going to come up through my beadwork like this, and then you can go down again in another spot. Just make sure you're not covering a bead, like this, and then turn it over. Come on, through again. Let's see. So I'm just gonna come through next to where I'm coming out, just so I'm coming through in between some beads. And this point you can go up and down again, and then you can just clip your thread off on the front, or you can come back down. Just want to give you some options, different ways I've seen it being done. Come down, and you can clip your thread off in the back, and you can actually just leave, it's another way of doing it, leave like an inch or so in the back, and that will just be glued down when we glue the cuff to the blank. So here, that's what you're going to do all the way around. So do all of your, or just choose whatever design you like, and then just keep going until you're all done. And then come on back, and I'll just show you how to start, you know, the background. Very easy. You're just going to fill in the background with all your 15-0s or whatever, you know, bead you like. But I'll just get you started. So just get this done and have fun, play, enjoy yourself, go to your happy place, and then I'll see you in a few. All right. Okay, we're back. So we're going to start the background now. And you're not going to have that much background, just at the ends. And you can even do more leaves there if you want. And you can put anything in the background you like. You can add more crystals, do anything. I'm doing simple, simple, simple. So if you notice, all I did here was I just went along with the line of my leaf, here, here. And then on some of them, I just made my, let me pull in really tight, I'll show you. I started this way and made them come down. So I have different lines instead of going this way. You can really do anything you like, just so it looks pretty. So just how the beads fit, so just start putting them in, you know, like this. So if I'm gonna fill in, and I would start in the center and work your way out. That way, if you need to elongate the bracelet at all, if you need to add some, you can add it at the end. So here, I've just done, let me pull out a little bit. I've just done my background in the gunmetal, and I'm just going to go along just like I've been doing. So here I'm going to put another round of gunmetal. I'm just going to start, you know, on the edge. Let's say it's all, you know, I'm all beaded here. So I'm just going to start on the edge here. Just like this. And sorry about my air conditioner. Okay. And then I'm just going to continue around. And then I'm just going to keep adding them on. Just like this. And make sure you use up all the white space. So just keep adding them on wherever they'll fit, and wherever you need a 15-0, you can add those in later, or you can do them now. And then when I started my ends, I chose to kind of go in this direction. So I went around, and then I went around again. You can just do it straight. You can do it in another shape. This is where you can get a little creative and have some fun with your background. And then periodically, as I'm doing the background, I'm going to sort of put it on my cuff. So you see how that fits on my cuff? You want to make sure that those beads come right to the edge. We are going to add an edge on, but you want to make sure they come as close to the edge as possible. And this is where you can use your markers later to color it in if you need to. But I want to make sure that you don't have any white, you know, you have as little white space showing as possible. And see where I have it showing right there? I'm probably going to color that, and then we're going to have an edge all along the top, so you're not going to see that, you know, the white of the felt. So just check it periodically. You want it, I'd rather have it a teeny bit larger than the width than too small. And then also check your ends. Are your ends meeting? You want those to end, you know, as close as possible to the edges of your cuff. And then of course we're going to put our edge beads on. All right, so be mindful of that and just check it periodically. Don't worry about it. You know, if this is your first one, sometimes the first one, you know, is not as beautiful as the fourth one, but it will be beautiful, I promise. All right, so go finish your background, get everybody done, and then meet me back here and we'll start gluing things together. All right, see you in a few. Okay, we're back. So let's get the Ultra Suede on our cuff. So we're going to glue it in here. So I've cut for this 6-inch brass cuff, I cut about 6.5 or 7, almost 7. Let's say almost 7 by about 2 inches, 1.5 inches, something like that. So you see, it just gives me some space to play with. See? All right. So if you look at the Ultra Suede, there's one side that's prettier than the other. So if you can find it, make sure that side's on the outside. I'm just going to take my glue, and I'm just going to start putting some glue on this just in the center here, just like that. And then you could take, I don't have a paintbrush, but you can take a paintbrush or your finger, and you can kind of just spread it around to the edges. Like that. You want to make sure it's nice and covered. So I'm just going around with my finger. that. Your fingers work really well here because they curve with the cuff. So see how that's done pretty well. Then I'm just going to just get a tissue and wipe off my finger. Just make sure you do that. You don't want to get the glue on the Ultra Suede. So here, I want this side on the outside. So I'm just going to fold it over, and I'm just going to place it in there. And just push it down with my finger. And I'm just going to do that all along. Just like that. And make sure that you don't have any gaps or any air pockets. Just, smooth it down really nicely with your finger, like this. Don't be afraid. You can do this. It's easy. Just do it. With bead embroidery, you just have to just do all this stuff, right? Because I remember when I did my first piece, I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to do this right? What am I, what's going to happen? You can do this. Just have fun with it. So just make sure you're nice and, smooth and all. Then you're just going to leave that alone. And you're going to let it dry. And I'm going to look on the bottle and see how long it takes. It'll have to 24 hours. So here, now you're going to have to start something else while you do this. All right, so just leave it, and do leave it overnight. You could do this in advance, you can do this, but I just like to just do it in steps. So I'm just going to leave this overnight, I'm going to let it dry, and then we're going to trim it to a 1/16 of an inch all the way around the cuff. All right, and then once this is dry and it's all perfect, then we're going to trim this piece. And I'll just give you an idea if you want to go ahead and start trimming. Just make sure, check your piece. Make sure that everything is just the way you want it, because you can't add beads after. So you want to add any beads that you might want to add to this. Do it now. Make sure it's perfect. And when you trim this, you're going to trim it right to the edge of the beadwork. You want to make sure, you don't want it a 1/16 of an inch, you want it to the edge of the beadwork here. So just make sure when you trim that you're looking front, looking back. You don't want to cut these threads. So if your threads are sticking up a little bit, you have to go around them, and then we'll have to kind of color the edge a bit. But if you snip these threads, you're going to snip your beads off. So this is a very, very picky stuff right here, and you want to be very careful. So I will do this with you, but I just thought if you wanted to go ahead and continue, you could. All right, so I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to check all my beadwork, and I'm going to meet you back here tomorrow, and we'll cut this out, and we'll put the cuff together. All right, see ya. Okay, so let's trim the Ultra Suede now. So you want to trim it to about a 1/16 of an inch all the way around. So maybe just a teeny tiny bit more, a little more than a 1/16 of an inch. I just like to have a teeny bit more left. So you can rough cut it. Just make sure you have something really sharp. So this is my very sharp piece. I'm just going to cut like about like that. That's maybe just a little bit bigger, a little bit wider than 1/16 of an inch. You need not an eighth, but about a little over a 1/16. I'm just a little bit overcautious about it being too close. You could go back and trim any little bits that you have, any points that might be sticking up. You want to make sure you want to take your time, and you want to do this really nicely. So you see how that's coming out? That's about right. And you can just kind of clip off this piece, and then just continue down. And just, make sure you're at least a 1/16 or slightly more than a 1/16 of an inch around. And then trim it up, and then meet me back here, and we'll do the next step. All right, see you. Okay, we're back, and here's the cuff. Sorry about that. And my Ultra Suede is about a 1/16 of an inch. That's pretty close. And just try to do it as straight as you can. If you get any of these little pointy points sticking up, just, you know, you can just sort of clean it up after. So that's how it should look. I got a little close right there, but I think it'll be okay. So just do it slowly and carefully. Okay, so that's done. Now we're going to cut this. So I cut one side already. And what you can do at this point is I did fill in a little bit with my Sharpie here, just in some edges. I just took my Sharpie. I'm not going to take the cap off. And I bent this over. I'm not going to do it on the interior. I bent it over. I bent the felt over, and I just stuck the Sharpie in a little. You can do this after we get it all cut out too, because we're going to do the edge. So we can always do that after. All right, so I find the best way of doing this is to actually cut it on this side first, because you don't want to cut any of these threads. If you cut these threads, you're going to lose beads. So I'm just going to just cut it out, and it's going to give you, see how it's not precise yet. We'll get it closer, but I'm just going to make sure that I haven't cut any of my threads, so I'm just going to go all the way down. Like that. All right, so now, of course, I have to clean it all up. So on this, you're just going to have to go from side to side. You know, you're going to have to, like, just come around right. Let me pull on a little bit here. Okay, so just come around to the edge of the beads here, and just make sure you have a nice sharp scissor. Make sure you're not cutting the threads, which means this is going to be long and painstaking. You want to just do this right. Okay, so like that. So I've come in, I haven't cut anybody yet, but you want to be super careful doing this. If you cut a thread, you're going to have to glue it, and it's just not going to be as strong. So just kind of, you know, be really super careful with this. We're going to color the edge, so don't worry about it. You know, so far I haven't cut anything, but you want to get really close as possible, just like this. And keep looking on this side, and if you get too close, of course you want to back up. So get in the corners as best you can, like that. That's why when you use the backing with the color, you know, it makes this a little bit easier, because you don't have to be as exact as you do with the white. But this is such a good learning experience, and if you don't want to invest in the colors, you don't really have to. So here, just going around. All right, so that's what you're going to do, and you can just do that all the way around. Just take your time, do it very slowly, and just make sure that you don't cut any threads. You're as close as possible, and then what we're going to do when we're done. So let's say this one side is pretty much done. I'm just going to take my black Sharpie, and I'm going to color the edge here. So that way when I put my edge beads on, you're not going to see anything. You know, no white's going to show through. You can even do this in a gray. I didn't have a gray Sharpie. If you have like a dark gray Sharpie, or whatever color your background is, whatever will sort of blend in. So that's what you're going to do. So take your time and do that really slowly, and make sure everything is nice and cut really close, but no threads are cut. And then go around and just, you know, do your edge with your marker. I'm sorry about my air conditioner again. And then meet me back here, and we'll attach it to the cuff. All right, see you in a few. Okay, we're back. Here's the moment of truth. So here's my cuff. Here's my beadwork. I'm all trimmed. It's all colored in where I want it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to attach this guy to the cuff. All right. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start gluing. So just going to use the white glue. You can use E6000 here if you like. I don't use E6000. I'm just going to use my finger because I don't have a brush, but a brush would be really good too. I'm just going to spread the glue around a bit. E6000 will probably be, it's super tight. I mean, that's the best if you can use that. I'm very sensitive to those kind of smells, so I'm just going to use the white glue. And then I'm just going to pick it up. I'm going to carefully attach. Just going to attach one end. It's not going to stay. Just be careful you don't have glue on your fingers. You know, it's going to kind of, you're going to have to hold it with your fingers like that. And make sure that you're right at the edge of the, see that? I'm at the edge of the cuff of the blank. That looks good. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my trusty clothespins. I'm just going to attach a couple. You have plenty of time. The glue isn't going to dry. I'm just going to put the clothespins on. You want to make sure you're going to put a few on because you want to make sure that, see how it attaches it. Make sure it's nice and flush up against the cuff. So do that. Here, like that. So make sure when you're doing it, I mean, you have time to play with a little bit, that you're covered. Remember, we have the edge to do, so it's going to cover anything that shows. So just like press it down really good, like that. And if you have to take them off and look at it to make sure, okay, am I right at the edge? Yes. And make sure these are at the edge. Yes. Don't worry about the piece that's over. We can always trim that. You just want to make sure that the bead embroidery piece, you know, the piece with the beads, is right flush up against the metal of the cuff. And just give it a press. If you think that's enough, then you can just leave it at that. If you need a few more clothespins, which actually I don't have any like right in front of me, maybe put a couple more around here. You can put them all over, especially if you're using the white glue because it's not as strong as the E6000. So I'm going to, after I finish this clip, I'm just going to go and I'm going to get a few more clothespins, and I'm just going to just put a few more around the edges, and then I'm just going to leave it like that overnight. Let this dry at least 24 hours. At least 24 hours. You want to make sure it's nice and tight. And then after you get that done, then come on back and we will sew it together. We'll sew the edge on. It's going to be gorgeous. All right, see you in a few. Okay, it's the next morning and we're all good. So I'm going to pull off my pins gently. Looks good. The white glue held fine. I didn't put a thick layer on. It was actually quite a thin layer because you don't want it to come through, you know, through the Ultra Suede. So it worked out very well. So here's the last point where you can change something. So if your Ultra Suede is sticking up a little bit too much, maybe trim it a little bit around the edge. Just look around. Does everybody look perfect? It should be, you know, pretty darn good by now. All right, so let's do the edging here. So I'm going to thread a needle with about 5 feet of thread. Excuse me. I'm going to put a little knot in, and I'm just going to pick up an 11-0. Now you can do anything on the edge here. You can put crystals on the edge, or 11-0s, 8-0s, anything that you like. Make it as decorative as you like. I'm just going to do this just an 11-0. So I'm just going to come through the backing. So let me just place it, and I'm going to start somewhere along here. I don't want to start on this little curve here. We'll work our way around. So I'm just going to come through the backing, and you could feel where to come through because you'll feel with your needle you'll like go right over the metal. See the metal there? Here, I'll pull it back a little bit. Let me pull in a little bit. See the metal? So when I put my needle through, it's just going through the top of the metal. You know, it's going through these ultra suede. There's the metal, and then I'm just going to come right through my bead backing, just like that. So I'm sort of in between a bead there. If you come out in between a bead, that's fine. So I'm just going to hold it like this. I'm going to hold that bead with my finger and pull through like that. And then I'm just going, the first one's always the hardest one, and then I'm just going to come up the bead like this. So you see that? Let me put my finger there so you can see the thread. And the knot's going to hold the thread on. It's not holding the bead on at the moment, but the knot is holding the thread to this ultra suede and the cuff there. So there I have the first bead on. And the first couple of beads are always the most difficult. I mean, this is the way I do it. I'm sure there are a lot of other ways to do it, and maybe easier ways to do it. So there I have my first bead on. I'm going to pick up a bead. I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to come through the backing. So here, let me pull that one a little tighter. I'm going to come through the backing about a bead's width, and just going to have to judge it through the, you know, I'm touching the metal cuff, coming through the front. I'm going to pull, and I'm going to come up that second bead. Okay, now that I have two beads on, it's going to be easy. So this is how, this is sort of a modified brick stitch. So so once you get the first two beads on, you know, you just keep going. So come through the backing. You know, it kind of shows you where to go because your needle's going to slide right across the top of the cuff. Here. Just like that. And sometimes you'll have to push the beads out of the way, or you'll need to you'll be coming up in between some beads. Don't worry about it. If you have to come, if you come in between beads, or if you need to, move it around a little bit, it's not perfect on the edge. But that's just how you're going to do the edge. And you're going to do that all the way around to get to the other side. So here I'm coming up. Through that bead, and you don't want to pull too tight because you don't want to make sure you don't want to pull the beads, rack the beads out or anything. So then just keep doing that and do it all the way around. It's a bit of work, but it goes pretty quickly. Come around. You shouldn't have any problem coming around these edges because they're rounded edges. They're not square edges. And then meet me here back at the end, and we'll connect the beads and tie it off. All right. See you in a few. Okay, so we're coming down to the end. Just got one last bead to put on, I think. This is just going to take one. So I'm just doing what I've been doing. Go. All right, so I think I don't think I'm going to fit another bead there. So here I have the first bead I put on, the last bead. Just going to take my needle, I'm going to go down the first one that I put on. Don't get your thread caught. There we go. Just like that. Then I'm going to go back up through the last one I put on, just to connect those two beads together. Okay, just like that. Then I'm going to come back a bead. Just want to make sure they're nice and connected. So I'm going to go through that one. And back up. And down this one again. So I'm just sort of securing everybody. And through this one. Okay, so now they all seem to be in line and they're secure. So at this point you want to sew your threads in. So I'm coming out of one of the top beads there. Just going to go down this one, and I'm going to go through a bit of the ultra suede like that. Then I'm going to come back through the ultra suede right next to where I came out. You're not going to see it. It's just going to, and it's going to just, it's going to get lost. So just come right next to it and just right through the ultra suede and through the backing. See, just like that. And that will hide right in there. And then you could do that again. You can go back through the ultra suede. And then come back through again and sew around a few times, and then just come out of a top here and just snip your thread off, and that should do you just fine. All right, so get that done and then meet me back here and we'll look at our bracelets. All right, see you in a few. Okay, we're back and here's our bracelet. So before we look at the bracelet, I just wanted to apologize for going out of frame in the last clip. When I was sewing the last few beads on, I tried to take it out and refilm it, but I sewed it in so well I can't get it out. So I'm gonna have to leave it the way I left it the way it was, and just listen to my voice. You should be able to sew it, and I think that there was enough there that you could get it. All right, so here it is. Take it off. So fun, so nice, love it, love how it came out. I love using the 11-Os and the 15-Os and a few crystals. You don't have to use all the big stones. I mean, it's gorgeous. Any bead embroidery is gorgeous. I just thought it would be fun just to do something with the beads that you have. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you on the next one, and I'm gonna go treat myself to a manicure. All right, see you soon.